Hello. I am back for round 2 of cancer questions, I guess. Had a lot of good questions come my way last time, and I think it is important to share where one can share. I've just finished chemo for what I hope is forever. Yeah, I've never really had anyone close to me really go through cancer, so I've also never really had the opportunity to ask questions that might otherwise seem a little bit invasive, I guess. It's just insane that it affects, young people and healthy people as much as it does, and I didn't know that much before I got diagnosed. So yeah, I just think it's important to remain aware and understand that cancer is not as rare as we think it is. And yeah, that's what's happening here today. So lymphoma basically happens when disease-fighting white blood cells develop a genetic mutation. There's no actual identifiable cause as to why this happens though. So lymphoma itself is not actually hereditary, but DNA mutations are. So that basically means that if you have a parent or a grandparent or someone who has had cancer in your family, it is possible that you will inherit, you will inherit that potential of genetic mutation. My grandfather, for example, had pancreatic cancer. I got lymphoma, but we don't really know if there's a connection there. In general, though, only about 5 to 10% of cancers are actually hereditary. So when we first arrived to Singapore, I did my quarantine for 2 weeks in a hospital in isolation while Joey was placed in a hotel. By this point, I was pretty sick and I hadn't seen my parents in about 1.5 years. And about 1.5 weeks in is when I did the surgery to confirm that I had cancer. But the doctors had already kind of indicated that that was the direction it was going in through tests and scans and stuff. So yeah, it was all pretty surreal, and it didn't really hit until I had to call my parents and tell them over the phone, because I still wasn't allowed to see them. I hadn't finished my quarantine and stuff. And that was pretty heavy. So to be honest though, thinking back now to the exact moment when my oncologist walked in and told me it was cancer, that's all really, really fuzzy. I just remember being so exhausted from being so sick and in so much pain from the surgery, and I was peeing in a friggin' bedpan by that point, and I missed my friends and I missed Joey. And so when they confirmed it was cancer, my response was like, okay, that's fucked. But at least we finally know what it is after so long. And how do we fix it? Okay, so this is easily the most asked question that's been sent my way. How do I stay positive? I think that on a regular basis for anyone in normal circumstances, sick or not, it's hard to stay positive, especially with the COVID situation and everything that's going on in the world. I feel like you turn on the news, it's just bad news all day, every day. I'm generally a half glass full sort of person, but I do think that accepting that inevitably there will be shitty times ahead, that is kind of the first step in being able to find any sort of positivity in any sort of situation. I also don't really believe that anything in life is linear. So this means, that days can go up and be good and days can go down and be bad. And that doesn't mean that you're not moving forward. I also try not to dwell too much in the past or antagonize too much about the future. How I see it is that I woke up this morning, I'm still here, feeling pretty sweet, and that's kind of good enough for me. All that being said though, I have had some exceptionally shitty days, and I kind of take a minute, take an hour to be angry or sad or tired or whatever I'm feeling. I'll probably have a good little cry in the shower because that is my favorite kind of cry, and yeah, things go on. Oh man, my support system has been insane in the best way possible. I could really not ask for better friends or a better family or a better boyfriend. When this all started, I didn't even really know what sort of support I needed. Everything was just so new. You kind of figure that out as you go along, if that makes sense. I'm also horrendously independent, which means, sometimes that's a good thing, but in this case, it meant that I didn't always know when to ask for help, and accepting that I needed help was a bit of an obstacle to surpass. Cancer, though, has also been the reason that I've reconnected with a lot of people that have reached out to show their support, which has been really lovely. So old classmates and random neighbors, and yeah, just all sorts of people. So support can kind of come in the form of sitting by my bedside while I battle post-chemo nausea, to receiving flowers from friends in Bali and Italy and London and the States, to, you know, reading random messages from people I've never met that have come across my profile or randomly heard about my cancer story. And yeah, it comes in all forms and shapes and sizes. But I also do believe that there is a responsibility that we hold to ourselves to make sure that we're okay mentally and emotionally. So I have checked in with a professional, and that's something that I was doing before as well. I think it's incredibly important to be able to feel comfortable in checking in with yourself like that and being like, ooh, okay, something's not right, or there's a problem there, and, you know, how can I ask someone else to help me with that? Being there for someone really does mean just being there for someone, being present for them. Everyone's cancer and chemo journey is very different, but everyone does need support in one way or another. Being there does also mean being patient though. So like I said, I didn't know what I needed until I actually needed it. And that will most probably happen to other people that are going through, you know, any sort of new experience. Everything is so new. There's no right or wrong. There's no guidebook. I also think it is incredibly important to foster a sense of normalcy. My parents were really paranoid about me going out and doing things and overexerting myself, and especially with Corona flying around, that in the beginning, even going to the supermarket or going to get a coffee was a mission. But it made a big difference when I was finally allowed to do those things and I was supported in doing those things. So even driving the car, which is such an ordinary thing, I hadn't done it in so long that when I started doing it, it felt so normal and just so everyday, that yeah, it made a really big difference. Yes, so I am finally done with chemo. No, it does not get easier at all. My physical side effects from chemo actually worsened about halfway through onwards. I would basically do chemo, feel shit for about 4 or 5 days from the nausea and everything. I was on anti-nausea meds, which make you really drowsy and knock you out. Then I'd feel okay for maybe a week, and then I would get fevers that would last until the next chemo session. I checked for everything and nothing was showing up, but it happened every single time for every 12 sessions of all 12 sessions of chemo that I did. So yeah, I haven't really had more than a week of feeling really good since last November, basically, which is insane to think about. During chemo, my body would ache all over, especially my abdomen, which is where my cancer is. And I'm not even embarrassed to say that I had pain going to the bathroom, both 1 and 2. And emotionally and mentally, you just feel really demoralized and drained. But once you start to feel better, the human brain has a funny way of forgetting how shit things were even just a few days ago. So you're basically like, okay, that wasn't so bad. I can definitely handle another round of that. But yeah, anyway, so now I'm done for hopefully forever. A few days ago, I got the PICC line out of my arm, the tube where the chemotherapy was previously administered. And I have a scan on Friday to hopefully confirm that I am in remission. And then I will have another check 3 months after that and 3 months after that for the next couple of years to just, yeah, keep things in check.
Setup.
Okay, so that's it. Those were the questions that I thought I would share with you today. I guess they focus a little bit more on mental health, not only physical health, whereas the first video I did was more so an introduction into lymphoma, cancer. Yeah, my point is just that cancer is not as rare as we think it is. It happens to people that are young and healthy and, you know, all sorts of colors and sizes. And just if you have any symptoms, be aware. Not everything is cancer at the same time. What's that website that everyone uses? The online one to diagnose yourselves? Not Mayo Clinic. Yeah, don't WebMD every single symptom because it says that it is cancer when it most likely isn't. But my point being, just treat your body like the temple it is. Health is wealth. family is number one. Times are weird. Corona sucks, but yeah, there are good days and bad days, but we're still moving forward. So that's it. Peace and love.